Welcome to the Fishery Fast Lane podcast. I'm joined here at Plumpton College with Ashley Groom, who runs the CARP Syndicate at Crowborough. I'll pass over to Ashley to introduce it better than I can. I've only been there once, haven't I, with Andrew Ellis?
Yeah, absolutely, Ben. Yeah, started it about 23 years ago.
Right.
The story behind it really is that I was absolutely sick and tired of day ticket fisheries.
Yeah.
It was the launch of day ticket fisheries, and I just wasn't used to being on stage catching a fish and having 20 people around me.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate to buy a plot of land on the side of our land off a neighbour, and it kind of went from there. You know, developed the first pond, went into a second, and then into a third, and it's just grown from that really.
Okay. Was there water always there that made you think? Okay.
To be fair, the first bit of land that we bought off our neighbour was a tiny dew pond, and you could kind of see the shape of what used to be hundreds of years ago. There was some form of lake there, and it was basically a muddy hole, 6 inches deep in the winter time, and then by the summer it was just dried up, full of mud. You know.
Okay.
Turns out it used to be a smelting pond back in the Iron Age,
and
we redeveloped that pond, and that was purely back then the dream, really, or the passion was just to get myself, my son, my daughter a place to fish.
Okay.
And that's where it really sort of went from there. But then I had my friends wanting to fish it, and then their friends wanting to fish it.
Okay.
And we were a beef and cattle farm, and I was like, right, we've got to diversify, because BSE, foot and mouth, and all those sort of things that were happening at the time just destroyed the beef market. So we diversified and went through the hells of planning applications with the councils, 2 years, 3 years of planning applications, different surveys. You know, it's just absolute craziness to get permission. Spent an absolute fortune, best part of 20 grand in before the spade went in the ground type thing, just to get permission.
Is their default then is no, you're not having a fishery?
Sorry?
Do the planners, do they default to no, you're not having a fishery? Are they against it? Right.
100%. Certainly back then it was almost you're changing, obviously change of use from farmland to fishery. It was frowned upon. Again, at that time we were at the launch of huge day ticket fisheries, these mega fisheries. So across the news you were seeing 300 cars parked on the road, everyone waiting to get into these day ticket fisheries. The amount of complaints, and obviously that the councils were getting. So it was a bit of a red flag. So you really had to prove that you were doing something that was completely different to what was currently going on. And for me to create another day ticket lake was not on my agenda. You know, I wanted something completely opposite.
So you've got, is it 3 lakes?
I've got 3 lakes.
So what was there, one at a time, or did you get them all planning for all of them together? Or
no, it was all separate. So I've done the first one. The first one sort of escalated into the second, and that was like the second lake, Oak Lake, which I think you helped net with Andy. You know, that kind of took us to the Premier League of sort of like the fisheries sort of thing. I think that escalated us up. That was a long slog, that lake. That was a real hard slog.
In terms of planning?
Planning was a hard slog. Digging it was tough. We then went to 2 years of drought. So filling it, it was hard. We bought fish off VS. We stocked it, and it was only probably a third full. Already paid the deposit for the fish. You didn't want to lose the deposit. I was funding everything personally. You know, took a bank loan out. You know, remortgaged the house. All these sort of things that was just on a dream and a passion that I was going to create a fishery. And everyone was looking at me going, "You're mad. You just borrowed 35 grand. You're just borrowing another 50 grand. You know, you're just borrowing a lot of money." We had no rain. We had, again, a typical thing. The lake was barren. It was just a hole in the ground. You know, and nature takes its time. You know, it takes 5 years to really establish itself. And
when did you start to see some more positive, some sort of light at the end of the tunnel, if you like, that it was going to work out? Did the fish grow from the off?
The fish did grow from the off. The problem being, I think, and that will take us on to the third lake. The problem with Oak we had Mine Pit Lake, and everyone wanted to fish oak. So the pressure was there from the very start.
Gotcha, yeah.
And that really had a negative effect. I can remember someone telling me, who's big in the fishing world, when you dig your third lake, don't let anyone fish it for 10 years.
Right.
And I was like,
10 years.
okay,
yeah.
wow, I can't afford to invest, £100,000 into it and not get a return from it straight away or within reason.
Yeah.
But naturally, what happened was when we opened the third lake, oak had just produced its first 40.
Right, already.
So within 5 years of opening, we produced our first 40.
Christ.
So we opened the third lake, but no one wanted to fish the third lake or the new lake because there was trenches and we didn't really know what was in there.
Right.
So it kind of naturally happened that everyone just ignored this 5-acre lake, and maybe 6 people fished it in the first year, and that was it. Everyone was just focused on oak.
Yeah.
And it kind of left itself for 3 years, just carp being neglected. And they, as you know, they thrive on neglect.
Absolutely, yeah.
So
to give people a bit of a picture of what oak is, could you describe it, the size and the sort of nature of the oak pit?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. One thing I found with nature, you have to let it do its course. I mean, I think I've always focused on the water quality, and the water quality looks after the lake, and the lake looks after the fish.
Yeah.
Plantings and everything that's all massively help. You get influenced by anglers saying, I want trees and I want it to be a lovely carpy pool. And when I first started, carpy pools were amazing, and that's what we want. And actually, as you know, that's probably the most detrimental thing to have as a fishery.
Yeah. I think, like you say, when you said about neglect, it's to an extent, isn't it? Because it comes to a point where you have an environment that you've created that's barren. When it is barren, things quickly grow and take advantage of that open space, don't they? So to a point, I think when places do become overgrown and neglected, it kind of compromises the fertility, in my opinion. But when trees get up and more litter goes in, and the actual recycling process is compromised, so there's definitely a balance there. But oak pit, what was it 3 acres, 4 acres, 5?
Oak is 3 acres.
Yeah.
21 foot deep.
Is it?
Yeah. That's a really deep lake.
Okay.
I love deep water because this year has been a classic example of probably one of the worst years, certainly my worst year in 20 years of running lakes. 100% the worst year. So when you've got that water volume, it takes that much longer, as you know, for that water to turn. February, I think, was our last rainfall this year throughout pretty much most of the summer. So from February, what people don't realise, anglers especially, is that from February, nature started, and angling, but everything started polluting those waters.
Yeah.
Naturally polluting itself, the geese waste, the fish waste, anglers' bait.
Yeah.
And it's one of the most, I think this year has been so crucial to why you must look after the water.
Yeah.
And the water looks after the fish.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I focused on naturals and the snails and the natural food larder because this year you didn't want to feed the lakes. You didn't want to put any excess nutrients in there. You wanted to go survive and go, actually. And when you see the millions of snails that we've got, I was like, I don't care. I don't need to feed these lakes.
The fish tell you, don't they? When
absolutely.
They're on.
Yeah.
But were you guided when you designed Oak Pit, or did you have an idea in mind of what you were?
Funny enough, when I first dug the lakes, I was in the old trade, in the old industry, sort of as such. I was a printer. I did all the printing, or a lot of the printing for Kevin Nash.
Oh, right.
So that was my connection. So I used to go up to Nash's place.
Oh, right.
Nash, he actually taught me quite a lot on fishery management.
Yeah.
He let me walk around church and copse, and I kind of took, I love church. I love what Cops was giving me, and and I kind of designed my lakes with a little bit of that and that. Took a bit of that, and and I really like that lake, and let's sort of put all these little features together.
What was that inspired you out from Cops and church?
It was just I was so used to heavily pegged, lakes, a 3 acre lake with 30 swims around, and that was, we had a 7-acre lake I was a part of a syndicate on, and it was a day ticket water, and it had 40 swims around a 7-acre lake.
Right.
And at weekends, those 40 swims are full.
Oh.
Yeah, it was terrible. It really was terrible. And then so you walked up to Kev's Church Lake, and you saw these massive fish swimming happily about on the surface. You saw these beautifully planted islands and lovely willows around the lake. It was just not a manicured lake, but it was a well looked after lake. And you could sit there and go, oh, I love the way that island looks, and I love looking at that bay, and I love looking at how that just works.
Yeah.
That swim here, I've got all these features around. And anyone that fishes like Oak or any of my lakes will know that you can see 12 features, but there's also another 12 features on the bottom as well, which makes netting a nightmare. It really does. But I get bored in my angling. If someone said to me, right, you're going to fish that far bank, or you've got to fish that hole in that weed, or everyone's doing the same.
Yeah.
It kind of gets boring.
Yeah, and the capture doesn't feel like you've done
absolutely, because you've just gone on the back of somebody else, and the back of somebody else. And, to me, it's just, I like baiting up a spot and then fishing another spot and then going back to that spot and seeing if that's, and just constantly working a swim.
Yeah.
Finding all those features.
Yeah.
That to me, and providing a habitat for the carp. There's a very fine balance, as you know, between having a natural lake that works, having a lake that could be managed fishery management wise, netting, etc., and then having a habitat for the carp.
Yeah.
I don't want a flat bottomed lake, which is brilliant for netting,
but
I think that's boring from an angler's perspective.
Yeah.
And I like to create a habitat for the carp as well.
Yeah, I think you've proven that it can be done that way. The results you've had with the fish.
Yes.
And the weights that they're reaching now is quite immense. So what did you choose to stock, Ash, at the start? What was your idea of stocking?
What density?
Yeah, and what did you buy to
when I stocked Oak originally, it was 60 fish.
60 fish.
In 3 acres with 20 foot deep. So the way I was sort of working the stocking density out was with very deep, average depth of 14 foot. The day ticket lakes that I was currently fishing were, say, 6 foot all over.
Right.
So I was sitting there going, well, okay, I've got the water volume. If I take that water volume and I cut it in half, so we say we've got an average depth of 6 foot, and then I sort of extend that, I've gone from a 3 acre lake to a water volume of a 6 acre lake.
Yeah.
That's how my sort of maths was working, rightly or wrongly. I think rightly, because the fish have completely thrived. I mean, especially, we've probably got 1540s, 1840s in that lake. At one point of the year, we might have 90% of the stock over £30. Yeah. Few older males that haven't kicked in or, haven't grown, but generally, they have done very well in there.
Yeah, I think the thing to remember when you're stocking a water with water volume in mind is to remember that the surface area is the same. So if it's obviously in your scenario, when you're doing it on a sort of a carp targeted to a specimen carp fishery, it's easier than if you were a commercial fishery thinking, right, I can stock double because it's twice the depth. Well, actually, remember the surface diffusion is going to be X amount. It doesn't mean you're going to get more surface diffusion because you've got more ammonia being produced, more oxygen demand, and the same amount of diffusion.
Yeah, and actually I've learned that this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I've learned a lot about water quality this year. As I say, it's been the toughest year, I think.
Yeah.
And water quality has been paramount.
Absolutely.
I reckon I've spent this year alone, I've probably spent between $7,000 and $8,000 on aeration.
Have you?
Yeah. Yes.
What's that in power?
So power, running aeration, having backup aeration, having generators, putting new diffusers. I've got new diffusers in Oak, so they're sat in 17, 18 foot of water, 1 metre diffusers.
Right.
They're turning over pretty much the whole of the bottom end of the lake, about 350 tonnes of water an hour.
Right.
So they, the stratification, we've got oxygen readings at the top to the bottom. Yeah. Whereas previous years, anything below 6-7 foot,
right,
was lacking in oxygen, lacking in life, and that sort of thing. So we have noticed a big difference.
Have you struggled with water levels this year then, have you?
So we have, we've like most places, we didn't have any rain. we're about 18 inches down, so we're doing better than a lot of people. We're not irrigation pond, we're not, the water's held there. I put circulation in, so anything that leaks out of a down wall, for example, goes into a hole and gets pumped straight back up. Even if you get the slightest downpour, it runs off the down wall into the hole, gets pumped straight back up. So just trying to capture every single drop that almost falls on our land. Because water is precious to us.
And to bring us up to date then, Ash, what's existing in the lake now? You've got, I know, quite a tremendous stock across the site, but in the
site
in Oak Pit now,
Oak.
What have you got?
So the biggest fish at the moment is 40. Lake record is 48.15.
Really, yeah.
That was before spawning.
Yeah.
That fish particularly always drops about 25% body weight over spawning.
Right.
Always has done.
Okay.
She normally comes out in September, October time. Last year she came out at 42. She was caught at 48.15. Came out at 42 in October.
Right.
So this year she came out last week. She came out at 47 after spawning.
Okay.
So she didn't come out before spawning this year. So my guess is that she will be about 55, 56 come January time.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've got the other big common, which is high 50s, mid 50s, high 50s. I expect that to go £60 this year.
And are you still around the 60 fish mark in there? Or?
Yes.
You are?
Okay. Yeah, absolutely.
And have you restocked anything?
Yeah. So, again, I also think that's quite an important thing that a lot of fishery owners don't do. They sort of get the big fish, then sit back and go, we can sit back on our laurels, the fish are there. And then they start panicking because you suddenly lose these old fish and these big fish. And then it's maybe too late to introduce younger males.
Yeah.
So I've done quite a sort of progressive stocking over the last few years. Obviously, every year you lose a couple of fish. Last year I lost none. This year I lost a few.
Yeah.
I've lost 2 40s.
Oh, right.
And obviously for us, if we lose a fish, it's going to be a big fish. We don't have many small fish, so we've got big fish. So unfortunately, every time we lose a fish, it is a big fish. So last year we stocked a few more. Concentrated on a new strain from VS, which is the grey males, or the grey strain as they call them, grey blues. We've got a few male harrows. I love the harrow strain. That's really taken off in our lakes, done really, really well. The big common's actually a male as well.
Okay.
A lot of people think that's a female, but it's not. It's a male.
Right.
At 55, 56 pound, it's a big male.
Big male.
Big male. That was only stocked at £20.10.
Really?
Yeah. In 2017, 2018.
Yeah.
So it's really growing. It's a big fish. But I like to keep the young blood coming through. I like to keep the males in there just to keep pushing the females into spawning, really.
Yeah.
I've found that obviously a bit like humans, I suppose, as we get older, we're not quite up for it. You've got to be bigger. I've got some big males in Oak, which are £40 again, and they don't actually always get involved in the spawning.
Right.
They're just a little bit laid back. I'll take it as a calm sort of thing. Yeah. Well, I want them to obviously to get involved, push these younger bloods obviously coming through, pushing the females into spawning.
Enthusiasm, I suppose.
And obviously making sure that, as I say, the females do have a good spawn, healthy spawn.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I would probably fall victim to that because feel like you can get in a bit of a mindset that stocking is but always a biosecurity risk whenever you do it. And I'd always encourage people to stock once, but there is always that thing I've heard a lot of fisheries say before that actually you get 20 years down the line, you start to lose a few, and you start to realise, hang on a minute, I probably should have done this 10 years ago. And it's absolutely there must be that element that perhaps you've realised and obviously done it very well. But are you seeing the younger fish do as well as the?
I have got some incredible fish coming through the ranks.
Yeah,
I mean they're crazy.
Yeah,
we've got fish that are doing £7-8 a year.
Right.
We've got fish that are 32, 33 pound and they're only 6 years old.
Right.
They are absolutely flying.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of the guys that come to me, we've got members that come 6-7 hours away. So we're not a local based syndicate. I sort of pride myself on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've got guys that come from Liverpool, we've got guys from Milton Keynes, we've got guys from Devon, we've got guys from Bristol, literally from all over the UK. And one of the biggest things that they've said in the past is that the syndicates that were on started losing the bigger fish.
Right.
And the owners hadn't done anything. So they were suddenly quickly stocking 10s, 12s, 14, 15 pounders, and then expecting that the syndicate to stay in place when they were used to catching 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
That naturally, that doesn't happen.
No.
You know, or you certainly can't command a top price ticket if people are only going to catch 14, 15 and you've got one 40 pounder.
Yeah.
And I've always said that. I've never wanted to be that one fish late or one trick pony.
No, yeah.
Because you lose that one fish and you've got nothing backing it up.
Yeah.
You know, what have you got?
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of people fall into that. They have one freak fish that grows and grows and grows. And they go, yeah. We base our whole business on that one fish. And then that fish goes.
With that said then, do you stock trickle them in, or do you go right every 5 years?
No. I trickle them in.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I just like a few new fish. Not every year.
Right.
I certainly don't, because I do, you know, we're netting again this year.
Yeah.
Do a stock assessment, and it's been quite exciting because we're doing a stock assessment on the new lake.
Okay.
Which we've not done in 7 years.
Oh, right.
So that'll be really quite exciting. The netting on oak is happening again. Remove any unwanted. Again, to have a good assessment of what's in there. Because our fish go missing, you know, even in a small lake of 3 acres, we have 40s that will go missing for 3-4 years.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. All of a sudden, everyone, that's dead. And all of a sudden, out it comes at 46, 47 pounds.
Yeah.
You know, you think, how have you gone missing for so long? But I like just to introduce 3 fish, 4 fish. If it doesn't need to, then great. But like this year, we've lost a few fish. Okay, maybe we'll put a few more in. And again, I like stocking at C4s,
right?
C5s, possibly.
Yeah.
But C4s is my go-to.
Okay. And what are you netting when you net the lakes? Are you just cropping off the smaller carp, or is it other species?
Well, to be fair, we have had bream, roach, and rudd. The roach and the rudd have come in duck feces.
Okay.
We've never stocked them, but we know we've got farm ponds around the area that are full of rudd, a typical farm pond, absolutely full of them. We also know there's duck shoots around, and the ducks are on duck ponds and they come off and land on us.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure that's where they've come from.
Yeah.
So we've got big shoals of those unwanted fish.
Yeah.
So we're taking them out.
What do you notice when you take them out? Is there any immediate signs that from netting that you notice?
Any problems?
Do you notice anything different when you net the lakes? Any positive or negative?
No, I notice the following spring, obviously, we see positives.
Yeah.
Not necessarily straight away.
No.
But we will definitely see positives the spring and the summer.
Right.
And that's mainly from fish growths. If you see a few that have been stagnated, all of a sudden they will have a big shoot up.
Okay, yeah.
And we've noticed that this year, again, with like orca, 47 pound after spawning. You know, she was obviously, I think we removed about 1,200 pound of unwanted fish last year.
Right.
So that's made
3
a
acres,
massive clearance in the biomass, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's a definite positive on every netting.
Is there anything else in your management plan that you think if you didn't do that, then the fish wouldn't have got to the size that they've got to?
Yeah, it's the natural larder.
Okay.
Yeah, I used to breed snails in fish tanks like this.
All right.
In the barns, feed them, and then literally get buckets full of them, put them into the lakes.
Right.
And I did that for years, just so that obviously the carp constantly trying to eat on, and feed on them. I wanted to have an environment where I could breed snails and just keep introducing the snails under a controlled environment.
Right.
Didn't want to just get random snails from anywhere. I wanted to breed them from almost like the brood stock what I've got in my lakes now.
Right. How have you doing that? How are you harvesting or breeding farming snails?
Snails are so easy to. I mean, as long as they've got warm water, oxygen, and feed, they'll breed.
Yeah.
And put lumps of cucumber in, for example, and the next morning it's sinking because of the weight of the snails.
Really? Yeah.
You just pick out the cucumber.
Yeah.
And it's very easy to do.
What sort of cycle are you? Is it a monthly thing, or you?
Absolutely, yeah, definitely through the warmer months. Right. It's almost probably fortnightly.
Right.
The snails just breed and breed and breed and breed, and we've noticed that this year, even though it's been a worse year for water quality and things like that, and the algae levels have been quite high, the snail breeding naturally in the lakes has been at its highest ever.
Right.
You put out strands of algae and it's covered in eggs and covered in snails. Mm-hmm. So there's been a positive side to that. Yeah.
Okay. Is that influenced by is it Nash that does that? Didn't he bring some snails in at some stage?
So I believe, Nashi bought toads and frogs and focused on tadpoles.
Right. Okay.
Gary Bays used to breed snails in keep nets on the lakeside, so that the smaller snails used to obviously just filter out into the lakes, but the bigger broodstock stayed in the nets in the netted areas, from what I understand, and they obviously then just bred like that.
Okay.
But I like to do them in tanks. You can see all the eggs being laid on the side of the glass. You can feed them algae wafers and things like that, and it's just breed. And you just collect them and put them in the lake.
I'm Ben Pinniger, and I'm your podcast host. For those of you that don't know me, my business is called BP Milling, where I specialise in producing plant-based pellets for fisheries that break down fast. I farm my own carp entirely on my pellets, and you can see me doing exactly that over on my BP Milling YouTube channel. So if you're enjoying the Fishery Fastlane content and you haven't discovered the BP Milling YouTube channel, then there is loads more content like this, where we deep dive on the science behind running fisheries, how to run fisheries in a healthy way, and how I farm my carp. There's loads of video over there of me doing exactly that. If you're interested in finding out a little bit more about my pellets, we have an online shop where you can purchase the feeds directly, delivered to you in bulk or in single bag quantities at www.bpmilling.co.uk. Are you feeding anything else, or do you have a supplementary feeding program?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So again, it's something that I learned probably year 5, year 6 in. Spoke to a couple of French fishery owners, what they were doing. Didn't quite agree with the way they were feeding, i.e. they would feed wheat and maize over the winter period, which a lot of people do now, but they would create mountains of it in the lake. So literally go over, tip a great big bucket over. And I did that for the first season, and I noticed probably 3 or 4 weeks later, we had these great swathes of rotting maize with the floater. I've never fed cattle like that. I've never fed sheep like that. I've never fed anything like that. So coming from a farming background, how do I feed cattle, pigs, etc.? You never feed them in a great big pile. So for me, I went out in a boat and I fed them exactly as I would. Got the boat going in a motion. And then held the bucket over the side and fed them in a long line. So for me, I'm imagining that the carp are as a trough, lined up all the way down. Nothing's being dominated by a big heavy carp and it's not taking over. Every carp has got a chance of eating. And since I've been doing that, I've not once had any rotting feed come up.
There's definitely a correlation between farmers and good fishery owners.
Absolutely.
They just get it with livestock. They know that they need to be thinned out. They need to be fed.
For me, my argument was always, would you put 50 cows in a 3-acre field and just leave them to get on with it? No. From a farming perspective, no. They would survive. You would lose some. They wouldn't thrive.
No.
And that, I think, is the biggest thing to apply to fishery management as well. You can't. The dangerous thing is, in a fishery management job, you can't see your stock until normally the worst case scenario. They're on the top. They're floating. They're dead. So you have to preempt everything.
I think this is where the commercial market get away with a lot, because if that was sheep in a field where you could see they'd been overgrazing their field, they haven't got food, they're deteriorating and malnourished, they'd get reported, the farm would be done.
Absolutely.
In fisheries, 100%. We get away with it because you can't see it.
So and you can see that from anglers' captures on these places where they're stunted carp, they're underweight, they're underfed, and you know these carp are in bad condition. And then they get cage fee and they blame someone else. Absolutely. It's all stress related, isn't it? As we know. And you've got to limit, and that's like this year I was doing everything I could. We've got 50s, we've got 40/40s or something on those, in that region of numbers. Correct. The last thing I wanted to do was put them in a stress position. So aeration running, as I said, everything was being done. Put new probes in the lake, remote probes every hour. It takes a reading, sends me text messages every half hour, all this sort of thing. I just like being in control of what my lakes are doing.
And when you stocked the fish, did you entrust Viv and Simon to pick your fish, or did you know what you were after? And
so, Oak, the original stocking of Oak, I trusted Viv and Simon. The original the main stocking for the new Lake Steve's Lake, I went down and chose. And now I go and choose the fish to supplement the stocking as such, because we've got. And not being big-headed or anything like that. We've got such incredible fish. I don't just want another zip. I don't want another heavy scale. I've got to go down and go, I've not got that. If I was doing another lake, you go down and see the holding tanks, go, wow, everyone's amazing. I'll get 50 fish.
Yeah.
But I've got one of them, and I've got one of them, and I've got one of them, and that's 40, that's 40, that's 40. I need something different, and it takes that stands out.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what I have to go for, you know.
Right. So do you look, is it more scale pattern you look for rather than shape and size and potential like that?
Shape and size, or definitely shape, to be honest with you, over scale patterns and size. I like certain shape of fish. You know, if I had a lake full of scaly bangers and I had one ugly plain fish, I'd want that ugly plain fish because every other fish looks the same. You know, so for me, there is a craze for these scaly fish, but I just like variety. You know, it's.
I think as well, using just one supplier, there's always something in that. I always tell people, we always sort of preach that lots of people like to go and use as many suppliers as they can and really mix up the strains. And we always suggest this might not be the best idea. Different parasites, different strains of parasites, all mixing together. Like Freshers Week, when you go to college, you pick up bugs.
Very good.
And, you pick up bugs and you get ill for a week, and the bugs go round and round. And if you're just using one supplier, you're not getting that because they're all got the same, you know, the same parasites and more sort of suited to each other. And
if it's not broke, why try and fix it? You know, for me, I've proven that the VS strain do extremely well in our lakes. Why choose something else? I'm extremely happy with that strain and their class, and they're always producing something different anyway. So for me,
So what did you learn from Oak that you took to? What's the other lake called?
I've got Mine Pit and Steve's Lake.
Mine Pit. Okay. So what did you take from when you developed the latest one? What did you learn?
Obviously it took me. So Mine Pit was expensive. I made a lot of mistakes. Back 20 odd years ago, there wasn't a group of fishery managers sharing knowledge, and there wasn't, you know, that wealth of knowledge out there.
Right.
So, and then obviously what I learnt on Oak, which took me maybe 5 years to see the best out of Oak fish and that sort of thing, 6 years to implement all these sort of things. I then applied that from the off. To Steve's Lake, you know. So they not only had the benefit of being left alone or very lightly fished for the first 3 or 4 years, they also had supplementary feeding. They had the natural larder that I was introducing. They had wind tunnels. They had everything that I could think of was straight away. It was applied straight away.
So what's the progress you've seen on that one? Is that did they get further and faster in that lake?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I always said that Steve's Lake would overtake Oak.
Okay.
And everyone, no, that would never happen. But it did. It's done that within 6 years.
Right.
You know, it's.
So when you did Steve's, you already had 40s, didn't you? Is that
yes. Well, not when so when we dug Steve's Lake, 2016, 2017, stopped it in 2017, 2018. We've produced our first 40 in 2018.
Right.
I always like to leave a lake like a full summer before I stock the fish. And then I like to leave it a year before I open it to angling pressure as well. And that's what I did. So I didn't open it until 2019 January type thing. It was a whole year.
Right.
And by that time, Oak could produce, I think, 3 40s.
Right.
So people left that alone. The biggest fish that I stocked into that Steve's Lake was 20 pound 10, which was the common. Let's say that fish is now 55, 56 pound. You know,
is it still going? Still growing?
Oh good, yeah. That fish will be 60 pound, if not this. I imagine, if not before Christmas, certainly after Christmas.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
Is there any more behind it that are...
Yeah, I mean, we've had. I think we've had 17, 18 40s out of that lake this year.
Right.
We've had new 40s coming through the ranks. We've got one of the biggest zips in the country. You know, that more than likely be 47, 48 pound, if not 50 pound by now. You know. It just doesn't stop surprising that lake. You know, it just keeps blowing them up.
Are you getting natural fry recruitment from just having a solely carp stock?
So that again, sorry.
Do you get much fry recruitment?
Yes. So in that lake, we have had fry recruitment.
Right.
And we're getting homegrowns coming through, like I said, that are 30 pound in 6 years' time, or you know, high 20s in 5 years, that sort of thing. So they're doing it. We've got about 15, 16 homegrowns. I've always stocked on all my lakes very highly with perch because I think they're great recruitment controllers, basically.
Yeah.
They self-predate on themselves, and they're just, I think, a great addition to any carp fishery. You could stock 50 carp, and within 2 years you've got 10,000 carp.
Yeah.
If they have and normally in the first few years they have very successful spawns, don't they?
Yeah.
It's a new environment. They go, yay! We can produce all this fry. Oak doesn't produce any self spawners.
Right.
We've got a high population of perch in there. We've got obviously the silvers. They seem to thrive on the carp spawn. As soon as the carp are spawning, the silvers are in there eating it all well anyway.
Yeah.
That is why I do like every few years.
Right. Okay. And how you run them both as syndicates?
The ticket is for all 3 lakes.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah. They're not separate. It's all one ticket, covers all 3 lakes.
Right. Okay. And how do you manage your membership and control who you allow on?
Yeah. So that's actually really one of the most important. I think one of the most important aspects of fishery management is actually managing the anglers as well.
Yeah. Can make or break the experience of running a fishery.
Yeah. So for me, I interview. I like to meet everybody. Yeah. I like to show everyone around, and nowadays I can get a general idea of that personality. Yeah. What he expects. Whether that expectation meets my expectation, because I don't want someone there every single day of the week. I have 35 guys on my ticket. That's all. Right. So it's lightly fished, and that I think is protecting the stock. Yeah. Obviously, I don't want them heavily fished for. Yeah. I want to limit the amount of times that my carp are caught. Purely because I want them to carry on growing. I want to get the best out of them. Yeah. If they get caught every week or every 2 weeks, every month, whatever, then they're not going to thrive. No. So ask the angler what he wants, what he's expecting, what his fishing habits are, and then go from there. Really.
Do you operate a waiting list?
Yeah, I've got a small waiting list. Right. Again, 35 people. Lose maybe. Some years I don't lose any, maybe 1, 2 a year, something like that. So there's no point having a waiting list of 100 people, because every time I interview someone, it takes an hour, 2 hours of my time. Yeah. And there's no point having 10, 15 people, 20 people on a waiting list that they may never get on. Or it might be 7 years down the line before I've got a place for you now. Yeah. Well, I don't live anywhere near you now. There's no point in that. Yeah. So I like to keep my waiting list to literally 5, 6 people, and that's it. Yeah. Okay. That just works. I've just found over the years that works for me.
Yeah, nice.
I don't have a bailiff.
Right.
I don't. I've been on so many syndicates where you have bailiffs, and they have a bailiff swim. Right. Or they have bailiffs mates, and they're all rotating that swim, and they're all putting the same bait in. Yeah. And that you can never get in that swim. I like to think that the way I operate is fair for whether you live a mile away or 300 miles away. Yeah. Whether you fish once a month, once a year, twice a year.
Yeah, I guess with the right members, you don't need a bailiff to be policing it as such if you get that selection right.
Yeah, it is that, Yeah. It is getting that core. I mean, I've got members that are 16 years strong.
Right.
Been members from the very off, and they've never left. Right. And I think that's testament, to what the syndicate.
Absolutely,
how we are. Yeah.
Was there, would you say, a moment when you thought, oh, okay, right, and you realised the potential? Was there a capture? Like some places, one fish will get caught £10 bigger than the previous capture, and people go, okay, right, we've got some. Is there a moment like that, or did it slowly sort of creep up, and you're like, did it take a while to realise what you've got?
Yeah, I mean, for us, it was always a milestone every time when we got our first 30, when we got our first 40, would we ever get to 50? And it was.
And now it's 60.
They're achievable.
Yeah.
I think under the right environment, they're achievable.
Okay.
I don't think there was any one just, wow, eureka moment or anything that triggered everything. It was just, I think, just being steady.
Did that comment then, it didn't surprise you just suddenly go, was it just sort of slowly crept up? Or was it
kind of, it was always a fish that was standing out.
Right.
It went from £20 10, then got caught at, I think it was the next capture was 36.
Right.
I think from memory, it was a massive jump. It was like, wow. And then it was 40, then it was 44. It was, right. Yeah. And that's what I love about our fish as well, is that there's a history behind it. I'm not a fan of stocking these big fish. That seems to be a phase at the moment,
Does that level of stock, though, and the value that you hold in stock, does that, have any element of anxiety? Do you have any anxiety over shit? What if something happens and I lose?
Yes.
You know, I know you've lost a couple of 40s this year.
Yes.
That must be
There is nothing. I mean, people wonder why I get stressed at certain times of the year.
Yeah.
I get extremely stressed, which is why I put remote probes in. I want to monitor my lakes all the time. I was checking before the remote probes went in, I was checking the lakes 4 a.m, then after had breakfast 8 a.m, then 12, then 3, then 6, then 10.
Yeah.
You know, it was just constant.
Yeah.
Always on the lookout on just in case the lake crashes or something happens. Ammonia checks every week and all this sort of stuff. You know, we just do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you cannot not get stressed.
No. And I remember you saying that your price point you took a big jump one year, didn't you? And you said that you didn't lose hardly as many as you thought you would lose from jumping up in that price point.
The membership?
Was that right? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember when we came netting.
That's right. I mean, for me, it was COVID that triggered that.
Right.
It was having the furloughed anglers.
Yeah.
Where the guys would normally fish once a month. We were expecting to fish 7 days a week, or they were going to fish every week, go home to their wives at the weekend, then fish again the following week.
Yeah.
So I went from having 1 or 2 guys a week fishing to having the lakes full.
Right.
And I was like, this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I wanted.
It's the opposite of when you said.
Exactly. So I was sitting there going, I'm going to close. I'm actually going to shut my syndicate.
Right.
I don't want this.
Okay.
This is. I haven't invested £500,000
Yeah.
into just giving you guys free for all type thing, and you just ruin it for me, because everything dies. You just go away. You just go and find another syndicate.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and that's one of the biggest things as well. You kind of don't listen to anglers. You know, they always have their input, but their input is always for the benefit of them, rather than
absolutely
the fishery itself. So I was like, this is not good for my lakes, my fish, my health.
Yeah.
You know, the stress it was causing. And I spoke to the core guys, and they said, just double your price.
Yeah.
Just double your price. We will pay it, reduce the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And it's gone from there.
And they respected that, and they just paid. And
yep.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because again, I said to someone at the weekend, I always like it when someone goes off, I call it the dark side, go to the day ticket water, do a social on a day ticket water. One of my members, you know, they come back going, what have I just experienced?
Yeah.
I know what I've got here.
Yeah.
You know, the grass isn't greener on the other side.
Yeah.
I'm fishing a 5-acre lake with a near £60 common in, or 20 40s.
Yeah.
I'm fishing it on my own, on a weekend, on my own.
Yeah.
Where do you get that?
Exactly. Yeah. And because I think you get a lot now on social media in particular where people are almost mocking the cost of angling now as it creeps up, but I think it's got to. I think like you look at any other industry, everything's creeping up, or people almost get to a point where they feel like it's their right to fish your lake, not a privilege to be part of it.
I get that all the time.
Yeah,
I get that all the time.
Okay.
How dare you charge that money?
Yeah,
we should fish that for £10 a session or whatever. You know, I'm not paying that. How dare you? They don't see the hard work, the sacrifice, that everything has gone into the last 20 years.
No.
You know, it's a huge sacrifice, family sacrifice, money, the stress. It's nothing. It's no different to running a business.
No.
You know, you either take that leap of faith and you run a business yourself, or you employed.
Yeah.
You know, and don't be a green-eyed monster, sort of jealousy about it, saying, well, you've got a Ferrari and how dare you?
Yeah.
You haven't put yourself. You don't know what's gone on behind that. What sacrifices that gentleman's made to have that car or that nice house.
Yeah, we all get the same.
It's no different to fishing. It's the fishing industry. I don't think.
No.
You know, it's a lot of money.
Profit shouldn't be a dirty word. Like you say, the sacrifice that's gone into it.
Absolutely.
And as an industry, we need to, I've said this on previous podcasts, that we need to be fighting a case to, otherwise, if fisheries not profitable, fisheries will disappear. And then we'll all be crowding the ones that have survived it.
Could not agree more.
You know, it's tricky. So
I really agree with that. That
needs to be supported.
I've been sort of championing that for years.
Yeah.
There is a value to this. You know, a like for like stock evaluation of my fish.
Yeah.
Probably about 400,000 or 500,000.
Yeah.
You know, how do you replace 40 different 40s? You couldn't.
Yeah. No.
The revenue that would be lost if those fish died.
Yeah.
Where do you draw the line?
Yeah, and it's at every single capture of a carp. If it goes off the feed for a number of months, it's us getting in the way of your goals, isn't it?
Absolutely.
When they get
exactly that. You know, I don't want sponsored anglers that can fish all day, every day. I don't want someone that can fish every week, week in, week out.
Yeah.
Because again, like you say, that fish gets caught. That fish now stops growing, stops feeding for 3 weeks or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is about that limitation.
Yeah. And what's your relationship been with otters? Have you had any events of otter getting in to your fishery?
Say that again, sorry.
Have you had any experience with the otter?
No, right, yeah, okay. No, but actually I have a negative experience of otter fencing.
Okay.
Okay, so we don't have otters in our area.
Right.
Okay, so again, sleep at night. I want to sleep at night. I want to relax. I don't want to suddenly turn out, go over there in the morning and find we've got an otter, even though there's none in the area. So I spend thousands of thousands, tens of thousands on otter fencing. It's just so that we're ready. I don't want to be rushing around. We're ready. But what that has done is, like this year, we had over 100 geese on the lakes.
Right. So you're fenced now?
We're fenced, fully fenced.
Yeah.
So normally those geese have their eggs, clutches, etc. They would then take their young off into the fields, eat the grass, all that sort of stuff. But the otter fencing has kept all the geese on the lakes.
Yeah.
And I can't remember what the statistics are, but each goose lays or shits 3 pounds of waste a day.
Right.
So you times that by 100, you've got 300 pounds of waste going in your lakes.
Yeah.
That is going to have a negative effect.
Yeah.
And that's what we found this year.
Right. Okay. Have you had to control the numbers?
I will do.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I will have to. I mean, typically there is a season for geese.
Yeah.
They tend not to come in until the season finishes.
Yeah.
So the controlling of geese is a tricky thing,
Right.
I
Okay.
do ask my guys to have the tufty torches and the laser pens or whatever to scare them off at roosting times.
Yeah.
If from what I understand is if you could scare them off at night time and they don't feel settled, then they won't make a nest.
Right.
That sort of thing. So rather than sort of like a lethal approach,
Yeah.
I'm trying to do like deter them.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I can't be there all night long.
No.
And whatnot. But there has been a definite negative impact.
Have you seen that in the progression of the fish aligning with?
Well, thankfully not. Thankfully not.
Yeah.
I mean, we just had very bad water quality.
I guess, algal blooms perhaps.
Big algae blooms.
Yeah.
pH level rose to 9.5.
Right.
Thankfully didn't lose a fish. But we had 2 weeks of very high pH. Only in the top 3 foot of water. You drop the pH level or the probe down to 5-6 foot, it was 7.5, 7.7. So it was okay down. But I didn't see a fish in the heat of the summer when this is happening for about 2.5 weeks.
Right.
Where you'd normally see fish on the surface, but they were staying down into the areas that were safe for them.
Right. Okay. Because my memory of, I think it's Steve's when I came out with Andrew, it is like the perfect environment.
It's a
what we
perfect
create for it's nice and open. It gets sunlight all day. From what I remember, it might have matured a lot more now. But you've planted it, haven't you? Did you establish a load of plants?
It is established. It's got reed beds.
Yeah.
I planted lots of different irises, lots of different reeds. Mm-hmm. Taking heavy metals out of the water. Literally everything that will do a positive effect.
Yeah.
If managed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the reeds unmanaged are a nightmare.
Yeah.
So I try to do things and then manage them.
Yeah.
Rather than just leave them to go wild,
Yeah.
But like you say, that lake is a classic textbook example of the perfect environment for the carp. It has big winds even on a summer day.
Yeah.
It has beautiful aeration, beautiful sunlight. It's open. There's no trees around it. It is, it's just perfect. Yeah. And that was a lake that I had the biggest issues on this year.
Oh, right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Maybe is that, do you think because it's so open to the harsh sort of conditions that we've had with the sun and
It got sun from 4:30 in the morning till 8 at night.
Yeah.
The water temperature was at 28, 29 degrees.
Yeah.
It's only just dropped below 20 degrees since
combined with the geese
end of March.
The
amount of geese crap that's gone into the lake, that has been the biggest killer.
Okay. Interesting.
Biggest killer.
Yeah, okay.
But it's also been the richest water as well.
Right, okay.
Like I said, the snails have exploded.
Yeah.
And the carp growths have been positive.
Yeah. So you see that a lot when it is sort of a bit one of those years where algae has been quite, quite potent. It does kind of align with a good year because that, it shows that those nutrients are being digested. The algae is digesting the nitrate and the nutrient in the water, perhaps from the geese that have sort of contributed. But it's showing that the ecosystem is working and it's firing. And it's
I think we're just under stress.
Yeah. Yeah. And that heat element as well, the bacteria that is going to be much faster at digesting things. Things are going to be a lot more, boom and bust perhaps with algae. And
yes,
it is one of those
it's
years.
on a knife edge.
Yeah.
All summer, it's been on a knife edge. Very, very fragile.
Yeah. But again, those fragile years can be very
productive,
very fruitful. Yeah. So
100%.
It's certainly a very exciting venue to keep an eye on. I watch your social medias, and every time you put a post up, it's like bloody hell, and you show how fast things are progressing.
Yes.
At the Carp Syndicate, and I think from what you've explained there, you're very on the ball with it all, and I think it's only going to get better there with the stock and the progression you've got. So anybody that's not following the Carp Syndicate, go and check it out, because I think you'll be just as excited as I am for what Ash puts up next with what gets caught there. So well done, Ash. Congratulations.
Thank you, mate. Appreciate it.
Such a successful fishery and the progression of the carp there. And we look forward to watching you progress into the future with even 60-pounders the next.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Thank you very much,
mate.
Ash.
Thank
Cheers.
you.